What's up, dudes and dudettes of the internet? My name's Seth, and we've got another one of these vlog type video things. I'm gonna be probably doing it as a kind of face cam thing from now on, just because I figure it's a little bit more personal. Not to mention, I finally have like a camera that's actually high quality, right? So there's a couple things that I wanted to talk about. I don't have it written down or anything like that, but there's just been a lot of leveling up behind the scenes with myself personally, you know, and just kind of approaching the channel in an all new direction. As you've all seen over the course of these last couple weeks, things have been changing like crazy. That said, a lot of all this technical step up and stuff like that has kind of made me it's been very distracting for me. So now that I ended up finally getting this camera, this was pretty much like the last piece of technology that I needed to upgrade. And now I have like an endgame camera, an endgame mic, an audio setup, an endgame recording software for the games and everything like that. So now I've just noticed for myself, like my brain has kind of been cleared up now. So now it's like I've just started to kind of realize a couple things and I guess catch up to myself, you know? So a couple things I wanted to talk about. One of them is the ability to be able to play with all of you on Steam a little bit more often, because one of the biggest problems that ended up happening, I talked about this once before, as soon as I started my TF2 series, my friends list got full. So I didn't even know that a Steam friend list could end up being full. So what I'm going to start doing regularly, I mean, maybe a little bit further down the line, I won't even bother because it might be a little bit more tedious, but filtering very specific list of people and kind of deleting friends one at a time on Steam just isn't really gonna happen to me. So what I ended up doing is I ended up tagging a few people, all the ones that I could remember anyways, with a kind of like keeper tag next to them, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through my Steam friends list. I'm just gonna select everybody except for those people with that tag, and I'm just gonna delete my entire friends list. So if I end up deleting one of you fine beautiful people and you're like very active and you kind of just play games with me and stuff like that, and you want to keep playing games with me and stuff, you can always just re-add me up. You know, it's nothing personal. It's just that I have a full Steam friends list, and unfortunately, it's very limiting. So I want to end up getting rid of a lot of the old dead accounts and dead friends that I still have, so that I can kind of stay more in touch with the more current fans and the people that want to actually play games together, you know what I'm saying? So that I think will be very cool, because as it stands right now, I've got a lot of people that want to play TF2 with me, but anybody else who wants to play any of the other Steam related games has just been like so busy, or not so busy, has been trying to add me and I can't add them back, right? So GG. The other thing too is that I know a couple people have already told me about this, but I already, trust me, I know. No Man's Sky finally is up for pre-order. I know. You can go ahead and leave all the comments telling me, and thanks so much for that, but yeah, you can bet your bunions that I knew as soon as I saw that going up for pre-order. So I definitely got that one. Definitely gonna start a series on that game. For those that don't know, I've been waiting for that game for a couple years now. It's actually been a very long time since I was actually like genuinely very hyped and interested in a game, you know, because most everything I play now, it's like, ever since Fable years back, it ended up killing the hype train for me, because I got real hyped about that one, and then it came out and it was like, you know, still a good game, but not nearly as much, not nearly as crazy as the hype portrayed, right? So one of the other things too, just while we're on the topic of that, is I've talked about this once before. I wanted to reiterate and talk about it again, where I'm gonna start being very brutal with my own content. Like it's, as I'm kind of pushing myself as a person and my content and everything like that up to a whole other level of quality, I'm gonna start being very, very brutal with these series and games and stuff like that that don't reach that quality. So, for example, Team Fortress 2, I'm gonna give it a little bit, but otherwise it doesn't seem like anybody's interested in that series anymore. So I'm gonna give it like a week or two to see whether or not everyone, you know, maybe it just takes a little while for everybody to catch up. I know we do have like a million different series running on the channel, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. But if things don't end up shaping up with TF2, I'm gonna cut that. Paladins was going okay. There is a new character in Paladins. It's a sniper class, and she's actually a really, really cool character, but generally speaking, nobody seems to be that interested in the series, so I may end up not even getting like footage of her. I do still have a couple more episodes coming of Paladins anyways, so you can always check those out when they are available. Portal Knights, very, very sick, very, very cool game. Just to say again, I said this in my last vlog video too, I already finished the entire game. Like, I recorded it in pretty much like 2 or 3 sittings, because that's the one disadvantage of me having like so many series running at a time, is I myself, like, I'm kind of, I guess, like, I wouldn't really say I'm like the ADD generation or something like that, you know, because I'm a lot older than most of you, but it's like, I like to overstimulate myself with stuff, you know, just because I'm a high energy type of guy. So it's like, I love having multiple series running at a time, but unfortunately, it means that I have less time to deliver higher quality of that series, you know? So it's like, for example, Trove. Lately, I've been having a lot less videos, maybe 3 to 4 a week rather than 7 days a week. Now, that said, I'm still having Trove videos coming out almost every day, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's the Trove Let's Play series, right? So what that's been able, like, the trade-off for having less episodes like that means that most of the other people that are at the beginning of the series can end up catching up to the more recent episodes, but more importantly, I actually have the extra time to kind of go through it and start adding a couple of editing things, and as you've seen with the recent thumbnails and stuff like that, like, it's given me a lot of extra time for behind the scenes work, and now that things are kind of getting more stable behind the scenes, I think that's why I'm kind of starting to be able to approach the content again rather than just all the technologies and stuff like that, right? So one of the things I would ideally like to do is slowly start whittling away some of the series that aren't particularly popular. Windcraft, for example, I do have a couple other episodes because, as you may have already seen, which is a little bit disappointing, I ended up recording quite a bit of episodes in a row of that game because I got like really into it the first couple weeks I started playing it. So I was recording, and because of that, unfortunately, I didn't know I was going to be upgrading all of my gear so quickly, and what can I say, you know, like, I'm sure you've seen in the other episodes, like, they're not even caught up to this level. Like, it's like, even my red hair is like all disheveled and stuff like that. Just like, yeah, so I'm gonna wait and see when Windcraft ends up catching up to the quality of content that everything else is at. I'm gonna be forcing out a couple extra Windcraft episodes throughout the weeks just so the series can catch up, and then see whether or not people end up getting back interested again. But if not, I mean, that series is very, very cool. I love the game. I love the Windcraft server, but it kind of turns into a grind in the late game, and that's something that I'm not particularly into, because I think that happens with a lot of you fine, beautiful people as well, because the sense of discovery kind of goes, you know, down a lot when you gotta grind for like 5 hours off camera just so that I can walk into the next area, find out I'm not strong enough for it in an episode, and then, you know, GG, I gotta repeat the process all over again. Not to mention a lot of the quests, which are very cool, albeit very confusing outside of looking at like walkthroughs and stuff like that, right? So that's one of the end game goals right now for me. It's gonna take a while before that actually comes into play. Is I would love to lower the amount of series so that I could just have Trove and maybe 2 other series running at the same time. That would be ideal for me, because then I would be able to deliver more of what all you want, which is Trove. I would be able to deliver that like crazy. And then the secondary series I would like to swap out to eventually would be No Man's Sky, just because personally I think I'm gonna have a really good time with that. And then, of course, leaving room for any other special series just on the side of games that I'm interested in and stuff like that. Because otherwise, you know, I'm starting to find, like, there's been a couple other games that have come out recently and a couple other games that people have suggested. And although I do want to actually play them, I just don't have the time. you know? And even in regards to, oh, I kind of lost my train of thought there. But yeah, even in regards to like, what was it? Like somebody mentioned like Skyforge and stuff like that. Someone also mentioned Black Desert, which I've been kind of keeping tabs with lately. And it's kind of like, I would love to start a series on those games, but I'm also finding out that unfortunately it seems to be a lot more successful. I don't want to make it sound like it's all businessy. It's kind of like, how would I put it? Like I don't have as much time to dedicate to starting a whole new series from scratch. So usually what I've been doing lately is I'll start a series, do maybe 3 to 5 episodes, and then everybody kind of loses interest, and then I lose interest in that as well. So it's been really, really tough trying to find a game that is actually going to stick with me and with the crowd, you know? So Portal Knights is one of those games where it's doing okay. You know, most people do seem to be interested in it. It's not like very popular, not nearly as popular as I thought it would be because it's kind of a voxel game and stuff, but I myself very much enjoyed it, so I grinded through it and I finished it, you know? Plus, it being kind of a more linear experience like that where it actually has an end rather than all of these MMOs and online games that we've been starting recently where they're kind of Infinium games and they would last like forever, which is cool, but it's not necessarily that cool for a traditional Let's Play, kind of like TF2, where it's like eventually it just starts getting really, really repetitive. And outside of a game like Trove, where we can all actually really interact with each other and play with each other and stuff like that, it doesn't really seem to hold that much interest for me and apparently for everybody else as well. So what I'm trying to do is slowly whittle down the series. Doom is a game that, by the way, I know I'm kind of jumping topics here, but just for future series, Doom 4, I really, really want to start a series of that one, but I don't know if I'll end up having the time. Plus, one of the things that I'm learning as a smaller time channel is if I end up playing, like, let's say Doom just comes out, right? Let's say I'm hyped, I'm pumped for it, I start playing it right away. It's not going to be particularly popular because every other big time channel just started making a Let's Play series on it, and they're able to, you know, they capitalize way quicker than I do, where they get the game early, they get to have like multiple episodes out like days in advance before the game even gets released. So everybody's kind of watching their Let's Play, as opposed to me, it's like, you know, if I start at Doom, it's like what? Outside of making the episodes like 10 minutes long, I wouldn't be able to have it out that often during the week, you know? So I may end up waiting for more recent games like that. But then again, once Doom comes out, I may end up being hyped for it. And No Man's Sky, I know I'm going to start that one regardless of whether or not anyone's into it, because I personally just am really stoked on that game. But yeah, so anyway, enough of all of that. I just wanted to kind of clue y'all in on the Steam thing, so be sure to add me back up. And just in the following weeks, just behind the scenes, you're not going to see that big of a difference for a very, very long time, I think. But I would love to slowly whittle down the amount of content that I have on the channel, just so that I still want to have like 2 to 3 videos a day. Probably knock that down to 2, and then maybe, well, 1 to 2 a day, I would say. And then just have Trove as the main series, of course, and then No Man's Sky hopefully would end up blasting its way in, but that's a little bit further down the line because that game's like 3 months away. So for right now, so far, it seems like Trove is always the most popular, and that's fine. I love that game. Once Mantle of Power comes out, you can definitely expect that there's going to be a lot more Trove content on the channel than there is now. I'm kind of giving myself a little bit of breathing room so I can catch up with all of this other stuff behind the scenes. And then when Mantle of Power comes out, I mean, I'm going to be busy with Trove. I'm hoping that I can start streaming a little bit more often and just in general have more episodes. And I know there's going to be tons more instructional episodes and tutorials, and I'm probably going to have to update a couple of the old ones because it's going to change the game like quite a lot, peeps. So that's one big thing. For right now, though, the other most popular series oddly seems to be Warframe, which that's quite surprising because, you know, it's not really like a kid-friendly type of game. Maybe it's getting like a lot of the older subscribers and people that came to the channel way back because, you know, I used to play like more hardcore, like more adult-oriented games, even though I still was G-rated myself, you know, and either way, like I'm very happy about that because I actually really like Warframe. I find that game extremely fun. Also, lots of people have been telling me that yes, you can turn off the gore in that game, and I just keep thinking, why would I do that? Because it's awesome. I know it's not really kid friendly, so I'll have to put a bunch of warnings in front of it. But seriously, there's just something so gratifying. Like, I mean, I love gibbing in games, which if you don't know what that term is, that's when you end up like blasting an enemy apart. That's called gibbing, when it ends up having physics and stuff like that, right? So either way, definitely gonna keep all of that in on Warframe. I just had food. Unless, of course, I get like tons of complaints wanting the gore off or something like that. But otherwise, people have also been saying like end game gear that I'll end up getting, and we'll see whether or not I actually get to the end game. But I actually really like that game, and I would love to play with all of you. I think that game is a squad-based game where you can only play up to like 4 people or something like that, though. And I don't know if there's like clans or anything, but or a big social hub. So that would be cool if there was. But anyway, gotta wrap up here because right now, as I'm recording this, it's like 3:30 in the PM my time, and this chair that I'm on right now, although it is like an updated chair, like I ended up going to Staples and ended up buying one that felt like it was the most comfortable. But honestly, it's a pretty bad chair. You know, it's nice on my butt because it's very cushiony, but my back is out of place, and I know that it is specifically because of this stupid chair. So I looked at the receipt. Thankfully, I have, like, I'm still within the 30-day return policy. So right now, I'm just waiting for somebody to get home with a vehicle, and then I'm gonna have to get them to help me lift this thing into the van or car or something because I can't right now. I'm like paralyzed, super duper weak until I end up healing, and it sucks because it hurts a lot. But yeah, so anyway, I'm gonna return this chair, and hopefully I'm gonna try and look online for an actual, like, I'm gonna have to splurge a little bit and just buy like a really expensive chair. I know Herman Miller is one of the big ones that I was actually looking at for a while, and for those that don't know, you know, I don't want to ramble on too much about chairs because that's boring. But it's like, it's pretty much a chair that is specifically designed for office work, and most people in the office, like, they're sitting behind their desk and on their chair just as much as I am. Like, I'm pretty much like locked here at the computer like all day long, right? Outside of like going on the couch maybe to watch like a video or two on YouTube while I'm just on break, and then I'm right back on the computer, right? So I definitely gotta find something that's gonna end up giving me proper support and actually like, you know, lets my skin breathe and stuff like that. And it's just, yeah. So that's not gonna be too tedious. Of course, I'm gonna have to order it online because Canada sucks and there's no way to end up buying most of that stuff locally unless I could find like some special chair shop. But anyway, I just wanted to clue everybody in on that. I noticed this video is going on a little bit too long for my own personal taste, but hey, I wanted to kind of clue everybody in. So be sure to add me back up on Steam. And in the following weeks, I'm hoping to lower the amount of content. That said, I still have a stockpile of certain videos, so it is still gonna take a while before that actually takes effect. I just wanted to clue you all in on what's been going on behind the scenes because I kind of just came to like a realization with it while I was talking with my fiance Scarlett, and just, you know, it's always really good for me to talk things through with her because it just kind of clears things up for me, and it's like, then I know what I can present to all of you, you know? So anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Sayonara, and stay epic.